Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Trail Mix, where the nuts might be a little stale, but the company is always fresh.
Live, Dupont Circle, Friday at the Circle. Noontime, lunchtime, a little bit misty rain, nice cloudy day, pleasant temperatures. Had to move over here to this, get under a tree, get under this big old tree here, because there was just enough potential rain. I had a nice seat over in front of the fountain earlier, but had to give that up. I hope to move back over there in a little while. Um, so much going on in the news. We had an open mic this morning with Jamie and Carolyn and some other folks, and talked a lot of different things. But I think what I'll do right now to kick us off is trying to see if the Epstein story is coming back. It seems like I gotta get used to this. Is okay. That gets in the way of the lens. All right, no. Oh, you gotta keep my phone. You got it. The trouble with using your phone for a camera, you can't touch your phone. Or at least you got to be careful where you touch it. But what I wanted to do here is get us started on the Epstein story, which seems to be coming back in the news because they've got enough votes. It looks like for that what they call discharge petition to force a vote on the House floor to demand release of the Epstein files, which won't get them released, but they'll at least kick things up. I guess that's their thinking on that. Oh, let's see. I think we might have somebody in the house. Oh no. But we had yesterday. Blue in Dallas got us the word on that coming up, and they had enough votes in the House to get force a House vote on full House vote on the actual bill to demand release of the Epstein record. So everybody's talking about that. And what I'll do is get set up here on a little background on that. This is from the folks at Lincoln Project, who of course do some of the roughest ads anywhere, video, YouTube ads mostly, on Trump. And I say, this 2-minute video, so get ready, especially towards the end. It gets mighty rough.
Hey, Donald. It's been a minute. We wanted to drop in and let you know the Epstein cover-up isn't working. You know why, right? It's not you. It's your team. Pam Bondi, you might think she looks hot, but she's really screwed up this cover-up. Kash Patel, he put 1,000 FBI agents on the Epstein files. Agents who read everything about you. Every mention, every secret. That's 1,000 people who can ask your secrets. Oops. Dan Bongino, he saw what was there. And now he's a loose cannon. Ready to leak. Ready to blow.
Todd Blanche? His interview with Ghislaine Maxwell backfired.
But you're too dumb to understand yet. Mike Johnson, he told people you were a snitch for the FBI. That didn't go well, did it? Carolyn Levitt, she's no Sarah Huckabee Sanders, is she? Thinner, sure, but dumb by a long shot. You know no one believes her. Your team is falling, Donald. No one buys the files. Even your own people know you're covering up something dark, something evil. You've tried everything to escape, but Jeffrey Epstein hurts you. All the women he abused, all the children he trafficked, all the girls he raped. Were you there, Donald? Did you watch? Participate? Did you hear their screams? Or did you cause them? You're covering up the Epstein files. But no one can cover up that forever.
That is some rough video. Um, the thing that's interesting about the Epstein story is how it started. I mean, how this most recent twist and turn started is it came from the Trump world. The Trump world is what put this story on the map this most recent go around because they were expecting that there are files in the Justice Department that show what they expect to be evidence of a pedophile ring run by Epstein in cahoots or for the benefit of elites of all stripes, of all countries. They ruled that by a lot of people. And Trump himself and his people, Josh Patel, Don Bongino, who's at DOJ now, they all campaigned on the promise that those would be released. And Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, went on Fox, said she had those files that everybody had been clamoring for. They were on her desk, and they were going to release them. And then suddenly something changed. Apparently, the reports that a couple of newspapers got from anonymous sources was when they went through the files, Trump was all over. And they went to Trump with that information, and suddenly those files are not being released. Now, they've never really denied that Trump's in those files. In fact, Josh Patel was just testifying last week, was asked many times, and I've got video you can see in dodging that question. He never really answered it. One minute he said he hadn't really read the records, didn't know what was in them. Then he was asked, well, how many times was Trump in them? 1,000 times. He says, no, not 1,000. Was he in it 500 times? No, not 500. Well, then you did read the records. No, I didn't read them. Anyway, you get the gist. They're hiding something. Now, it may not even be anything important. It may just be something minor that would embarrass Trump because his little fragile ego is so his thin skin is so thin that it doesn't take much, I guess, for him to want to cover up something that would embarrass him, which may be all this is. And yeah, the Democrats have now taken full advantage of the situation, and they're lining up in Congress for a House vote to try and demand release of those records. And they've got a Republican helping them out, Bob Massey of Kentucky, a Republican who's never been in Trump's orbit, and enough other Republicans to actually force a House vote on whether to release the record. So yeah, Democrats got onto it here, but trying to say this whole thing was a Democratic hoax is hard to support. So anyway, what other things we got going on while we're waiting for some of the chatters to roll in? We got well, let's talk about some of the distractions that go on here, how they're trying to keep this out of the news. And one of our most popular avatars that I created for Trail Mix Live's YouTube channel is Fox and Fury.
Good evening, Patriots. Fox and Fury.
That are very disappointed.
I'm disappointed in President Putin.
Breaking news. America is disappointed in Putin. Not outraged. Not mobilized. Just quietly pouting like someone forgot our birthday.
Very disappointed in him.
It's the latest in a long tradition of history's great disappointments. Roosevelt's little frown over Pearl Harbor. Congress sighing through Watergate. The national heartbreak of New Coke, and of course, the war crimes of the Game of Thrones finale. Coming up next, we rank dictators by most likely to ghost you.
I'm disappointed in President Putin.
Fox and Fury, keeping your eyes off the real story. Remember, if you're distracted, we're doing our job.
The weapons of mass distraction. We have seen them pull out all the stops for that. Oh, I see over there this fascinates me. Our Dupont Circle restroom. They actually have these portable restrooms over there that you access them. I guess you can't really see it. I don't know if I could zoom. I guess I can't zoom the camera. Probably can. I'll just have to study on that, how to do that. Well, let's walk on over there. I'll show it to you because I think it's interesting how these work. What you do is you access them with your phone, and they're powered. They're solar powered. This is like the most exotic porta potty you'll ever see. And I'm sure there are plenty of other places. I just never had seen one until I saw this one. We're at Dupont Circle, Washington, D.C., near my house. This is 4/10 of a mile from my house, so it's kind of my, since I don't have a real backyard, just a little deck. This is actually my backyard. And they call it the throne bathroom. And you can see up there on top, it's solar powered. And what you do there is, you see that fellow there, you put your camera, it's in use right now, so there's a line. And you put your camera up there, and there's a big barcode on the side of the building. And your camera reads that barcode and sends you a text. And then when you get that text, you can open the door to the bathroom. Now, I'm going to have to tie my shoe here. I'll put it on the edge. See what I can do. Oh, I see Jack's here. Hey, Jack.
Hey.
Hey there. Well, I was just demonstrating. 1 second here. You still hear me? I've got to tie my shoe. I was just showing off the glorified porta potty that we have. It just fascinates me so. I think I showed it to you once before. See there?
Oh my
God. The throne bathroom. This thing just totally fascinates me. I mean, wait, and the way it works. I mean, first of all, you can't use it unless you have a phone. It's the way you access it. See there, that barcode right there. You take your phone up to that barcode, and then it sends you a text. And then when you get the text, you push it, and it opens this door. And the other thing is that it's solar powered. See the solar panels. Although I've kind of wondered about that because they've got these solar panels right underneath this tree. So I guess it gets enough sun. I don't know.
Well, maybe it doesn't take a lot of energy.
Maybe not. But now the one thing that I found kind of spooky about it is when you get in there, there's a sign that says door automatically opens in 10 minutes. That could get a little dicey.
Well, yeah, if you've got a little constipation problems, you may have to,
Yeah. I've wondered, I mean, maybe they have a deal where, it gives you the option to get another 10 minutes or something. They send you a text or
I don't know.
something. But I'm back over here at the circle and can't wait to show you my little throne I made here. I had to move a little while ago because it started raining. But I got this. I set up this chair right here. Look at there. It's my throne
That's
right
it.
underneath
The king of Dupont Circle, huh?
Yeah, I got my royal steps here. I got my royal steps with my blue shoes.
You don't have an escalator?
Yeah, that's all we need now. Yeah, no water in the fountain. The kids in the summertime go swimming in here.
Yeah.
But
so they quit.
Yeah,
there's a mechanical problem.
I haven't seen this fountain running for quite a while now.
Yeah.
And they got DuPont's name edged on the side here. But anyway, back to
I think those fountains take a little bit of money to keep them up. So,
yeah, I'm sure they do.
Because I know Kansas City has a bunch of them, and I know there have been times when they've sat there and go, well, we're not sure we want to turn our fountains on yet.
Oh, yeah. Out to the sideways. Yeah, that's a pretty good view, and it gets the fountain in the background.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so what's going on? I've been burning up the live chat platform today.
Well, yeah, I went over and looked at it. I think on some of that is I'm not interested in the I guess I call it this. Some people are taking to politics like it's a football game.
Yeah.
So they're more interested in cheering their side. Win or lose, they're going to cheer their side,
Yeah.
Like a Cubs fan.
And
I'm more interested in policy and how we're going to get things done. And so that's just the difference, I guess, in when you all are going back and forth with
Maggot Man.
Mega Man, yeah.
He's like a cartoon character. But we'll get him a uniform.
And we have there are people on the left that are just as bad.
Oh, sure.
But it does look like, though, that I'm going to be playing in politics a little bit. So, I got a call from one of the local people. I had donated to the woman who was running for governor and got on her donation list, and she shared it with she lives down in this part of the world, so she shared it with some of the local people. So I got a call from a lady who is running for one of the Missouri Senate, I guess. She's in the Missouri House now. They're term limited, so she's moving over to the Senate. And,
they have term limits?
Yeah, they've got I think they term limited to 2. No, it's more than 2. Kansas City's council is 2 terms. But yeah, back in the 80s or 90s or whatever, when that got popular, Missouri pretty much all over did that. So it kind of, I don't know, it helped in some ways that you got rid of bad people. But then again, you got rid of good people too. So I'm not for sure where the power shifted.
Well, my issue with term limits has always been that's fine. At least as far as Washington goes, what I've observed about Washington is if you're going to do term limits for elected officials, you need to do them for at least the senior staffs, like on the committees and so on, because that's where the entrenched power happens. Is when you have a staff director for the Ways and Means Committee, for example. And I remember one who was there in the Rostenkowski years. He'd been there for 30, 40 years, staff director. And he'd been through 4 or 5 different chairmen. He ran the nation's tax system.
Yeah,
the staff director of Ways and Means. And nobody knew who he was. And if you don't term limit people like that, they'll have more power, because what will happen is the congressman will come and go even faster, and which means they won't get control of these staff people and before they're gone already. So I mean that's always been my issue about they sound great, but if you don't figure out a way to limit staff tenure, you're not fixing the problem.
Well, and the thing is, it's a complicated process. So the guy behind the scenes gets a lot of power just simply because he knows how to work the process.
Right.
You bring in a new congressman that doesn't have a clue.
Yeah.
And he's totally reliant on that person that knows what they're doing.
That happens all the time. That happens all over Capitol Hill all the time. And then those same people, once they do finally leave their jobs in the Congress and the staff directors and so on, where do they go? They go to work for the lobbyists who write the bills. So they continue. Continue.
It's like where Sherry worked with her mentor had been in the Corps of Engineers. And it was very common for the higher up people in the Corps of Engineers when they retired to move right on over into an engineering company that did work for the Corps.
Yeah.
And in fact, it was so common they had to be real careful right there when someone was getting ready to retire. Be real careful on how they dealt with them, because it might be that they would be a coworker and there would end up being a conflict of interest or some problem with that. So they had to walk kind of quietly around, even though everybody knew we were going to hire Jack for this, job after he retired here in 2 months. But he was part of the decision making too at the same time. And that was so common that it wasn't even,
Right. Yeah. That's
but it worked well.
So what is she wanting you? Is she wanting you to help her with her state Senate campaign, this Missouri rep?
She wanted, basically, I think she wanted money.
Oh.
And I did basically what is kind of funny is I had talked to her a minute, and so I just actually I interviewed her for a job, asked, well, how are you going to do this? How are you going to do that? Who do you know? Well, I know what the question that got her, because she had the answers for how she was going to, silly answers of how I'm going to do my job here, how I'm going to work as a minority person in Springfield. But I said, okay, you're a Democrat. I said, what Democrats do you know up in Kansas City? And she named a few, but she didn't name any of the big mover and shakers. And I said, well, and then I let her go a bit, and I said, well, what can you tell me about Yolanda Young? Yolanda Young is a Democratic family that goes way back. And she kind of that, and she told me a little bit about what Yolanda had done or was doing and stuff like that. And finally she asked me, so, well, how do you know Yolanda? I said, well, I lived up in Kansas City for 30 years on the east side. So I think about that point, I think she'd about give up on me. And so I told her just as we were getting ready to conclude, I said, well, you've got my phone number. I said, text me when you have your next fundraiser.
Oh, there you go.
Well, it's Sherry and I used to do this is, you'll go to those fundraisers and spend $50-$100, whatever, donating, and they're all so happy with you.
Yeah.
And we would go out to a nice meal once a month too and spend the same thing. So we might as well go do something that gets a little good back to us.
Yeah.
That's part of the way we got the $750,000 in the public park in our neighborhood.
Yeah.
Just building up the thing. So I guess I'm going to be going to these things. How long I do it, I don't know. I got to admit, it's not going to be near as much fun without Sherry with me. So.
Yeah. Well, those state legislatures. I have seen for the first time they finally got it that Democrats that nationally that they need to pay. Boy, I just smelled another waft of pot smoke come by. I'm telling you, when it floats by, it is strong. I never can tell where it's coming from though. But anyhow,
I'm not sure that doesn't explain half her problems in the world.
Yeah. Well, now we gotta be careful. We're gonna get banned by TikTok again. But anyway,
I just laugh about it. They legalized it here in Missouri, and it's like I'll get behind some car, and it used to be they'd be going slow, and it used to be it'd be some old person. That's some young person driving along. Okay, yeah, they just stopped by the pot dispensary.
Yeah. But all I was going to say is I'm glad to see Democrats nationally focusing on state legislative races for the first time in years. I mean, they're putting resources in people and recruiting candidates. I mean, they figured out that they couldn't abandon state legislatures to the Republicans any longer, which is what has been happening for decades.
Well, yeah, they're not. I think the biggest problem the Democratic Party has is they have been totally run by Washington, D.C. And the total focus is in what's good for them in Washington, D.C., and they don't understand what goes on out here in the real world. Whereas the Republicans had that, but they also had like the religious right, which is grassroots oriented.
Yeah.
And that's who the Republicans, that's how the Republicans got in control of a lot of this stuff, is they had the people on the ground.
The only time I saw Democratic leadership would try to break away from Washington was Jimmy Carter. And that didn't turn out well.
Well, it was. He
tried to get the party away from Washington, and it did not turn out well.
And it was rather frustrating for those of us out here in the middle country. Because
there's Blue. I see Blue.
Hello.
Hi there. I don't know. You don't have a YouTube account, I remember, but I've had a big old fight with maggots over our Epstein video on YouTube in the comments. Well, I enjoy it. I'm not angry about it, but they I just love all the. I mean, here's some of the arguments they're making. Because I put the video up of where you talked about how the houseboat was coming in, and of course they get into their whataboutism. Why didn't Biden release the time? Whatever. and then they try to get into the whole business of that. That the judge that they can't release the files because the judge ordered them not to, and of course that's a big ruse. Patel tried that in his hearing. All that was is the judge said they couldn't release the grand jury transcripts, which is not the files we're talking about here. But anyway, stuff like that, back and forth, back and forth.
Yeah, even if the representatives, even if the House gets it passed, which I do think they have enough votes, although they're pressuring people, of course, it's still got to go through the Senate, and then finally, Trump
And then
has to
Trump's got to
sign it,
sign it. And
and it's
that's
not
what
going to
I mean.
happen.
This always has been a kind of a moot
But
discussion from the beginning.
it does put everybody on the record.
That's
And there
true.
is
It still has
there's
value.
something in there that is so awful
Yeah.
that it cannot come out. So that, and someday it will come out eventually. I do
Well, yeah,
believe that.
one of these commenters on our YouTube video, he wrote a long thing about all the things about the Clintons that are in it, and this and that and the other, and I just simply said, okay, then why is Trump not releasing it? Why is it covered up? And that's the argument. That's the thing they never have an answer to because they can't explain. For a while they tried to blame Pam Bondi, and the thing is, the other argument I get into is they say, this is Democrat hoax. Democrats are driving this. Yeah, Democrats have jumped on it here in the last stage of the argument, for this House vote and everything. But we're talking about Epstein because of the MAGA movement. They are the ones who put this on the table because Trump White House didn't release the files as they were promised, and that's why we're talking about it. Democrats did not start this.
Well, I'm gonna say something a little controversial here.
Okay.
And it kind of goes back to what you were talking about, Craig, is about who the real power is in Washington, D.C. I think there's a good chance that the Democrats and the Democratic leaders are willing to support the whole Epstein thing simply because they know the Republicans won't release it.
Yeah.
They thought there was a snowball's chance of this getting released.
Yeah.
They would start fighting it too, because there are powerful people in those that don't want it released.
I think that's true, but and I think for the political value of this is the cover up. So the longer they do cover it up, the more useful it is at suppressing turnout of MAGA voters in the midterms. That's where I see it.
Yeah.
So I'm in that camp for a different reason. I don't want them released because I want the cover up, the Trump cover up, to go on forever.
Well, yeah, right now, since he's in charge, it's the gift that keeps on giving. But yeah, I think I watched him. I read just a little bit of the comments there that you were going back and forth, and I thought, yeah, he's right. There's probably just as many Democrats in that list that there are Republicans.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also people. There's also either donors or staff or somebody. There are other people that don't want their name out front and center that have enough influence to keep it from being put out there.
Yeah.
Well, what Craig said last week about being able to get the list from the women themselves and read it on the floor so that they would be safe. Massey has now said that is a possibility.
Is it really?
He wants to get it. He's gonna. Yep. So that
because that way the victims could avoid liability that way because it would be privileged on the floor to read those names. Nobody could sue anybody. Now, maybe they could figure out a way to sue them for giving the names to whoever reads them on the floor. I mean, I don't know, but
It froze.
that's
I'm going
one
to go
way
away.
out. Uh-oh.
Well, you can sue for anything.
Oh, yeah.
That's the problem is, if you're in my situation, it doesn't make any difference whether they can do anything about it or not. It's just the fact I'm going to have to spend money on a lawyer to fight it.
Right. Yeah, that is one leverage they have over poorly financed. Although I think in this case, these victims would probably be able to start GoFundMe pages and get all the money they need.
I suspect there's money behind them,
Yeah. But so did you freeze up and go away, Blue? I guess so.
Yes, it did. Yeah, I just
There
muted
you-
myself. I just muted myself.
You're back.
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, okay. Now another thing that's going on that bugs me, and this goes even further below the surface of the Epstein story, is Alex Acosta, who was the U.S. attorney who oversaw the Sweetheart Epstein deal back in whatever it was, testified to the House Oversight Committee a week ago, and they still haven't released the transcript. It was behind closed doors. Comer, the chairman of the House Committee, said that they were going to release the transcript. It has not been done. It's been a week. They're sitting on it. They're covering up the cover-up.
This administration has been like the entire 18 minutes of Watergate tape. It's just the whole thing has been the 18 minutes of tape. It's just all been the cover up. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But did you listen? Go ahead.
I don't think he said much that is going to be that any bombshell from what I've gathered from the Democrats who talked about his testimony. But I'd still like to see the transcript.
Yeah.
So now is the UN thing, is it over? I mean, because there were more speakers yesterday.
Yeah, it goes for 6 days.
Oh, does it? Okay.
I mean, 2 yesterday that were great is the president of Finland.
Mm-hmm.
He gave a fantastic speech about just kind of a great overview of the whole world situation and talked about it from the perspective of a smaller country watching all these big countries. But he said something I found kind of interesting is he talked about how he thinks India is becoming a world superpower on a level with China and the United States. I don't think I'd ever heard anybody say that.
Well, they've got a lot of people and they've got nukes.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the $100,000 for an H-1B visa now is going to do for the relationship between India and the U.S. But
But then he also really talked about how, look, I mean, it was an unveiled message to Trump. Stop trying to deal with Putin because the only thing Putin understands is power. That's how he put it. The only thing he understands is power, and unless we show him power in response to what he's doing, he's never. Which is obvious, but we've got a president who doesn't seem to get that.
Well, I think here's the thing is with Putin is you got to understand Russia's just damn near a third world country now. They're not a major power anymore.
Did you ever hear what McCain's famous line about Russia? He said it. He said it. He called it a gas station in search of a country.
Well, I mean that's why they've been able to be a pain in the ass, just like Saudi Arabia and the people down there in that world have been a pain in the ass. Just so they got more money than they've got anything.
Yeah. I think the actual line now, as I recall, was it's a gas station masquerading as a country. I think that's Yeah, masquerading as a country.
But I mean, they don't even have a navy.
Yeah, I know they do not. Yes,
Well, what
and
happened?
these
Well, they don't have a navy. They've got nuclear subs.
they've got one. I think they have one, and I'm not sure it works.
Well, they've got no aircraft carrier.
Right.
So they've got no real way to project power with naval power if you don't have an aircraft carrier. And yeah, they may have some subs, but
Well, did you see that story this morning where when Jamie and I were on the live chat this morning, she saw it. We looked it up. And we're talking about it, but where we intercepted a long-range bomber and some aircraft escorts, Russian, that were near Alaska in some kind of limbo waters where they technically were allowed to be there, but it wasn't cool. And our jets went and flashed at them, and they turned. Anyway, there was some kind of. It didn't look like it was terribly serious, but here's my. I looked up the bomber that the Russian bomber that they were talking about, and they had a picture of it, and the close up it had propellers,
yeah.
and and we, and we looked it up, and sure enough, they said it's a turboprop. Did you?
Oh
Who
my
ever heard of?
God.
I mean, maybe there's some reason. I mean, maybe I'm just too dumb to understand. But but I had not thought anyone had long range bombers that had propellers.
Well, we went to the antique air show and there was like a B-19 or something. It had propellers on it.
Yeah,
Or B-29 maybe it was. I don't know.
but I don't know military stuff at all. But I mean, a turboprop long range bomber. I didn't think such a thing existed now.
Well, they had one ship we know because Ukraine sunk it, and you remember, fuck you, Russian warship.
Oh,
Yeah, so they had one at some point,
yeah.
but I don't know what else they have. But I liked what the president of Colombia said too yesterday, and he wants the international community to go after Trump and the entire whoever is telling them to bomb these little boats.
Oh,
Yeah, he wants to do that, and then
yeah.
he said drug dealers sometimes have blonde hair and blue eyes and live close to Mar-a-Lago. It was hilarious.
Really?
It was,
He
yeah.
said
It's like,
he said
yeah.
that in his UN speech. Oh, that's great.
Well, I think that he said that part maybe elsewhere, but anyway, I put it on the blog last night. There were like 3 different articles that I read, so he may have said that to someone else, but and he's not happy with the U.S. So
Well,
I liked it.
He's someone who's actually fought narco-terrorists.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to imagine what they look like.
Yeah.
And that's there's a lot of people using those waters for legitimate reasons.
Yeah, fishing.
They're just shooting people.
And
It's a
we don't
dangerous
even
situation for his citizens.
Yeah. And nothing that this administration does is on the up and up. So
Yeah, on that point, I'm sorry, but these pictures of these shell casings from yesterday, where it says anti-ice, that looks an awful lot like Trump's magic marker to me.
Well, it does. And the thinking and the logic behind it too, because the saying is for everybody is fuck ice, not anti-ice. That doesn't make any sense. So it sounds like somebody said we need to put some anti-ice verbiage on these shell casings, and so they wrote anti-ice because they needed anti-ice verbiage, and they didn't know what the heck they were doing. And it came out so fast.
What you're saying is it does not sound like a real anti-ice person wrote them.
No, a real anti-ice person would say fuck ice. So
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
why would you
yeah,
shoot?
there's something like that.
Why would you shoot all over in the van if you were looking to get somebody that was? Why wouldn't you wait until the agents were getting out of the van, or why wouldn't you wait until, or why wouldn't you shoot toward the front of van where the driver and probably an agent passenger would be? Why would you just shoot willy nilly at a van in the
So,
back where there's
well,
detainees? That
are we
doesn't make
are
sense.
we seeing that maybe the Republicans are taking the place of school children for the spray and pray people?
Maybe. I don't know. They're just
They're showing up with their AKs at Republican events instead of schools.
Yeah.
I don't
And
know.
the other thing is, I mean, the way they are talking about this incident yesterday, and it's all about defending ICE. ICE, ICE are the martyrs. They're working so hard. They don't mention it's the detainees that got killed. There
Yeah.
weren't any
Yep.
ICE people killed, and they're acting like this was all about the martyrdom of ICE
Uh-huh.
soldiers. Not they
It
don't
all
even talk
it,
about the detainees that got
I
killed.
mean, they are looking for their Ragside Fire so hard. They thought it was going to be Charlie, and they thought it was going to be um, Big Balls when they did that little staged. Remember when Big Balls when
Oh
they did
yeah,
that little staged
oh
picture?
yeah.
That was the most staged picture I have ever seen. It literally had the word American in back. He had his little white shirt on, showing his little white skin. There was only blood on one pant leg. But there was a ton of blood, but no wounds. So all of that came out of his nose. Like he should be checked for hemophilia, because if that was from a nosebleed. So
Yeah, that story kind of went away. I mean, you can always tell
yeah.
when there's more to the story because they just stop talking about it.
Yep. So I mean, people are starting to pick up on too many things that's out of whack. So that's not right. So anyway, but somebody played a clip of him from 2013 speaking, and man, he has really lost a step. He sounds
Oh,
the dementia. I
Yeah.
mean, you maybe don't notice it because he always has talked kind of crazy, but you really notice if you listen to something from him from 10, 15 years ago. Wow.
well, one thing he's able to do that covers it to some extent, and I noticed this when I try to edit him on videos, is he still talks really fast, and there are very few pauses as he can change subject with very little pause. I know this because I'm constantly trying to edit him, and it's difficult because
Yeah.
he doesn't. I
Well,
mean, some people are easier to edit than other people,
he
and there's
does.
just no
He
natural
does.
pauses.
He's got his little way of his phrases and his things he wants to say, but he doesn't do anything new.
No, it's very limited.
I mean, it's the same old stuff. It's like the little bit I listened to on the UN, he might as well have been at a mega rally.
Oh yeah,
You know,
yeah.
I mean, that was it.
I mean, that was partly the function of the teleprompter not working because at the beginning when he said the teleprompter wasn't working, I thought, okay, fasten your seatbelts because we're going to get a MAGA speech now.
Well,
Yeah.
That's what,
the teleprompter was Antifa. The
yeah,
escalator was Antifa.
yeah,
And whoever, yeah, it's like who he wanted them to save the videos to see if anybody pushed the emergency stop button and then go after them. It's like, okay. It's
yeah. He's
crazy.
calling for arrest. Yeah, he's
But
calling for arrest.
oh my God.
I
It's like it's a
mean,
lot. I mean, nobody would, if somebody had written this as a TV movie or a TV series 20
yeah,
years ago, nobody would have believed a darn thing.
yeah.
I mean, nobody could believe this. But here we are.
I was reading, I think, the foreign policy expert that I follow on his newsletter. Daniel Drayson or something like that.
Oh, I've heard that name.
Yeah. And so he was talking about Scott, that the news media was putting him out as the adult in the room now.
Oh, Scott Bessent.
Yeah, Scott Bessent. That's
the guy who started a fist fight.
And
The one who
explained why that Bessent was not an adult.
Yeah.
And I put a comment on there. I said, well, when you're the teacher that has all your kindergarten kids have ADD,
Yeah.
you kind of focus on the one that's calm for a moment.
Yeah. But he's the one that started a fist fight at a cocktail party a couple of weeks ago, and they had to pull him apart.
That was what the he was it. I thought he did it at a meeting at the White House. One of the people.
Oh yeah, when Elon Musk was still there.
Yeah.
He and Elon had a big fight. Yeah. So that's your adult in the room.
Well, usually those kind of folks end up in the construction industry. Those of us who don't play well with others, we get along in the construction area.
Yeah.
Of course, you better actually be able to fight if you do that. But I guess we lost Blue again.
Oh, we did. Yeah, she kind of reminds me. Speaking of construction, my dad built roads in Florida, and he had a big project. Well, actually, it was the Tamiami Trail. He had a chunk of that he built in the Everglades, and he had a worker. He said was the best bulldozer operator, which is kind of, I guess you probably know from here, is kind of an art, to running a bulldozer. It's not something just anybody can do. Anyway, and so Dad was always valued a good dozer operator. And anyway, this one Seminole Indian that would work for him, and he said he's the best dozer. I think I'm saying it was a dozer anyway, operator that he ever had. But the way this guy would work is he would just show up one day and come to Dad's trailer on the job and say, I'm here to work. Dad put him to work, and he'd throw a tent on the job, and he'd go out and hunt his food, and he would he'd find a pig or something, have a pig roast for the other workers, and the other workers loved him, but he lived right there on the job, and he'd work for about 3 or 4 months to get up enough money that he was looking to get. And then one day he'd just be gone. He just was gone. And Dad wouldn't see him for another few months, and then he'd show up again. And they went through that several times. Anyway, I think of Blue when Blue comes and goes like that. She's like that Seminole dozer operator.
Well, it is. I had a neighbor that did road work with the dozer, and it's kind of a talent to get that blade to
right
at the not an inch high and not an inch low.
Yeah. Dad always said that was one of the most difficult. That you wouldn't know it. It looks like it's just a big blunt instrument. You wouldn't think of it as a scalpel. But
well, Dewey was talking. He was no World War II vet, and he basically, he had a job, and he had his toolbox, and he had his pint of whiskey sitting in the toolbox. So you can get away with that in construction if you do your job right. But he was talking about they hired a young man that could run a bulldozer and stuff, but he couldn't. He got out there on the road, and he just wasn't any good. And they about ready to let him go, and then they got into a hill where they had to move some rock. Well, I guess this kid had learned his bulldozer work in a rock quarry. And he went out there and he could just take that blade and pop those rocks loose and went right on through. And they said, well, everybody's got their skill.
Yeah. 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 That reminds, I remember Dad talking about how the good ones could do that because they had a lot of like limestone they'd have to break up and different things. Yeah. Well, that was a great. I guess I was about 15 or 16, something like that, when he had that job, and he had an airboat, because this job was just right in the thick of the Everglades, And I learned how to operate that airboat. That was so much fun. That airboat.
I always thought they would be. I looked at them.
Yeah.
I mean, you didn't have to worry about stopping. You're in great shape.
Yeah. 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 I mean, you open those things up. You just think. I mean, it's like I see a lot of these the dinosaur, the how to tame your dinosaur, where the kids ride the dinosaur, and I see those ads, the promos. But every time I see that, I think that reminds me of what it felt like to drive an airboat. It was like riding a dinosaur.
Yeah. It's all kinds of fun things. That look fun anymore. And I'm sitting out there, and when I get in the middle of them, I go, never mind.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm over a lot of things that I don't do anymore.
My sisters like to go out and do float trips on the local rivers, get in their, not the canoe, but the other. Here I am with my noun problem again. Kayak.
Oh.
Yeah. And I look at it and I realize, I can get down and get into the kayak, but I'm not for sure I can get out of it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try to find me a big John boat with a big, comfortable, easy chair in it,
Yeah. So that's the thing about these Adirondack chairs, is they are the most comfortable chair for my. It's just there's something about the way they lean back and everything for my lower back, because I got this spinal stenosis in my lower back. But getting out of them isn't so easy. It's like, once you get in them, you just kind of want to stay there.
Yeah. Well, that's what I've got. I've got several folding chairs around that I have bought that just don't work that well to get in and out of. Those, those cloth ones that you can fold up into a tube.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And that seems to be all they make. And then go out to a family event, and I sit there and have to take my own special chair, and it's about wore out. They didn't build any of that stuff to last forever.
No.
But I guess those Adirondacks, that's a popular thing. My neighbor kind of did a decoration on the front of his house when he remodeled it for his daughter, and he put a couple of them out there to make it look like they were friendly people.
Oh, yeah. See here, look at all of them right here at the entrance. More of them over there.
I tell people about those chairs in the park, and they just said they're totally amazed that you can have chairs out there.
And there's just so many of them too.
Yeah.
And then what people do when they have the little outdoor concerts here on the weekends, they've set up a little stage over in the corner, and then people just pull all these chairs, and it's just like a grassroots effort. Everybody pulls their chairs over, and they create a a little theater over there with stadium seating. It's
Yeah.
just everybody pulling all the Adirondack chairs over there.
Yeah, that's that dangerous world you live in.
It sure is. Yeah.
Well, and I
Well,
think, go ahead.
no, I just to say we're at about we just crossed 1 hour. I'm gonna have to head back and get my. I've got an azalea plant coming. That's
Oh,
being
yeah.
delivered. A little plant.
I'm going to get some of those planted as soon as my neighbor's he wants to put in a privacy fence between us. And I told him I'd chip in on half of it. And we're going to dig everything out, and it'll kind of it'll be a little shady there. And I think some azaleas will go fine there. And I love them in the spring.
Oh, azaleas. The thing I like about azaleas is they bloom like 3 times a year.
Yeah.
The one I'm getting did. Except I had to be careful. I always planted azaleas in Orlando and we had plenty of sun, but where I'm putting this one, it only gets shade. And I almost got bright red, I like the bright red azalea flowers. But I remembered just before I ordered it to check, and the bright red ones really do need full sun.
Yeah.
And so I got they have the ones that are combination white and red, that are white but have red tips on them. And those can grow in the shade.
But they're just, always say I'm kind of, when it comes to my gardening flowers, I'm kind of like an old woman. I like those big, gaudy looking things. And an azalea is one of those that in the spring is just a case type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then gives you a little greenery the rest of the year. Well,
yeah,
I'll let you get back. I'm going to go make a trip out here, and there's a place up north that's about an hour's drive that does their own hams, and they're pretty good. And I have green beans, and I don't want to ruin them with this silly ham I bought here last spring.
Are you talking country ham or cured? Or?
It's a brine cured, and they smoke it, and so it's fully cooked. But it's good flavor to it, and I don't have to. The country ham, my definition of country ham are the ones that are dry cured, and you basically have to soak them to get the salt out, and then you cook them.
Yeah, they get so soft. My great grandfather cured his own country hams because he had hogs, and you know what? He cured his in Coca-Cola. Yeah. I mean, I guess months. I don't know how long, but Coca-Cola, he was real big on. He did a whole bunch of Coca-Cola. I don't know what that did.
But it would take the place of the sugar, I guess.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
He probably still had the nitrate and the salt. You'd have to.
Yeah, I don't know. He was one of those people. He just had all kinds of his own ways of doing things and never explained it, but it always turned out pretty well. But I learned something yesterday. I figured out something that had puzzled me for a while. I barbecued some chicken leg quarters, and this is the second time this has happened where I couldn't get that. I like when I barbecue ribs or chicken, I like to get a little caramelization, on the skin where it gets a little crispy and caramelized and everything. And the last time I did ribs, I could not. I even put them in the broiler after, and I did the same thing with the chicken yesterday. And that sauce was, what I figured out? I was using no sugar barbecue sauce. I think that was the problem. There was no sugar. Yeah. Don't you think that was probably what it was?
It
That
might be.
because you need that sugar in the sauce to get that caramelization, I think.
Probably be different. Well, you were you cooking them like in the oven or in
Well,
a
I did them in the grill first,
yeah.
and I wasn't getting the and in the land for the last 20, 30 minutes I put the sauce on, and when I've used in the past for I've always had no problem. I just put the sauce on and leave it a little while, and it gets a nice little crusty top to it,
Yeah,
and
that
and
probably could be because it takes pretty high temperature just for meat. If you want to brown it, it takes pretty high temperature to do that.
yeah, yeah.
So,
So I even tried broiling it, and I couldn't get it and then it hit me. That might be the reason that I wasn't using barbecue sauce that had any sugar in it.
well, I cooked my chicken that I posted the recipe on yesterday, and
Oh yeah, I did. I
20,
meant to copy and paste. I need to copy that. Yeah.
this morning I had some in the refrigerator and I just pulled it out and I made what I called a white man taco, which is
Oh,
a piece of white bread with the folded with the chicken in there, and that was my breakfast. It wasn't bad.
yeah.
It was pretty good cold.
Yeah. I made a video of my own version of tacos on the Lazy Cooks video, and this one guy wrote, "That's what we call gringo tacos." Yeah. I said, "Well, that." I wrote him back. I said, "That's because I'm a gringo. That's why."
Well, I learned being around the Mexicans that a taco is anything rolled up in a corn tortilla.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Sherry was laughing. She was at a company thing, and they had this little get acquainted thing about if you were on a deserted island, what one food would you want? And she said tacos, and I said, "Well, you're cheating because tacos is anything in a tortilla.
Yeah.
You'd
Yeah.
have a different meal every day."
Yeah. Well, the first time we went to Mexico, I was really surprised there were no restaurants that had Mexican food.
Yeah,
And what I discovered is what we think is Mexican food is their street food. You have to get it on the street. They
yeah.
don't have. They have. Well, we were in Mexico City, so I mean that. But I mean, in the city, they have French restaurants and Spanish restaurants. It's like, they didn't have a Mexican restaurant.
Well, what we forget, we tend to talk about Mexicans as if they are one people.
Right.
And I think it was when I first moved up there in Kansas City, I bought an old house, and this guy about 3 or 4 years later moved in across the street, and he was from Mexico. And so I was talking about the ethnicity and stuff, and he said, "Well, I'm Italian." And that's where his grandfather had come from Italy after World War II.
Oh. Huh.
And so I'm sitting there going, "Well," and so that was kind of one of those enlightening moments, I guess, for me in the understanding the
Yeah.
world
Yeah.
that he considered himself Italian.
Well, in Florida, there was a real distinction that people would make if they were of Spanish descent. They wanted that to be clear that they were different than the folks of Mexican descent, or I don't. Yeah, it was particularly
Yeah.
like in Ebo City in Tampa. They wanted that distinction made.
Well, it is uh, somewhat of a ethnic slur to use the word Indio.
Ah.
That
Huh.
it's, sit there if you want to put somebody down and say, "Well, they're just an Indian. They're just Indio."
India. Huh. Huh.
Yeah. So.
Well, enjoy your drive to get your ham.
Okay. Well, you take care.
The world's going to keep spinning. We'll catch a ride tomorrow, maybe.
Hey, just as long as they keep mailing that Social Security check out.
Absolutely, yeah. That's this government shutdown. This government shutdown that I guess is coming. Even the Trump people have said they're going to keep sending Social Security checks. So.
Oh yeah, they would not dare. Too many votes out there.
Yeah.
Well, you take care, and I'll see you later.
All right. So.
Okay, I'm Lady Mau Mau, Craig's built-in emergency brake. If this wasn't enough for you, sign up for the newsletter. It's free, it's thoughtful, and it occasionally makes sense.